Hey guys, AJ here, back with more college stories. So today we're going to be talking about drugs. Drugs aren't cool. I don't do drugs. I've never done drugs. I'm not interested in doing drugs. Any sort of drugs. Outside of prescribed ones, I suppose. But yeah, that's not me. That's not my personality. I'm not that guy. And yes, no matter where you go to college, there will be drugs. There will be some amount of drugs. But at University X, I think its problem is in the policy. The policy is, they don't care what you do outside of the school. They don't care if you get, drunk, wasted on anything, any sort of drug. They don't care. Not their responsibility, really. But they don't allow you to bring it back. Okay, that sounds fair, right? Well, the problem with that is that you're pretty much, you're like endorsing drugs. You're kind of endorsing drugs, again, if the policy is taken literally, then yeah, sure, that works totally fine in theory. I don't care if kids do drugs outside of the school. I just don't want to have to see it. But because they kind of sort of allow that, it allows for kids to be a little bit more like, okay, well, this school is definitely more lenient on the drug policy. Instead of saying no drugs, it just says, do drugs over there, not over here. Well, kids aren't going to just do drugs over there. They're going to do drugs over here, too. And, yeah, I mean, it's pretty bad at the school. So remember that conversation I told you about last time when I was waiting for my meeting with my English professor? Well, their conversation started like this. This one really annoying kid, who is really stupid, made a lot of stupid questions, and was in my advanced writing class for some stupid reason. He was like, what is marijuana like? And they were like, oh, it feels good and everything. And he's like, how strong is it? Is it good? And the responses are like, one girl was like, yeah, but you know what? After a while, you gotta move on to harder stuff like heroin. And I'm just like, you're having this conversation in the hallway of the school. Like, what? I mean, I guess no one's gonna get you in trouble. What am I thinking? Silly me. And then he's like, have you ever shown up to class high? And she's like, oh yeah, the days where my eyes are all glazed over. Yeah, I've been, like, half the time. And this is the girl that steals toilet paper. So that, I mean, and I wish that's not the only conversation I've had to hear. You walk through the halls, you hear it, you hear kids talking about it. You sit in the lounges, you hear kids talking about it. You see kids doing it pretty much. There was, on the first floor that I lived on, there was a room, where the two stoner kids got roommate together, and that room was like the pot room. They did, not only pot, but they did mushrooms, they did all sorts of other things. And so many kids did drugs. And even the few kids that I met that didn't do drugs, they still hung out with the other kids while they were doing drugs, which I think is just as bad. My policy is kind of like this. I can be friends with you if you do drugs, just as long as you keep that separate from your friendship with me. Like, I don't want to be around you when you're doing it. I don't want to know when you're doing it. Don't involve me. But, to sit there and watch them, that's almost, I mean, I don't know, that's kind of endorsing it, isn't it? That's kind of, just hypocritical of you to not do drugs yourself, but kind of want to be around others who do. I don't know. I don't understand a lot of these things. But yeah, there was that. I've heard things, RAs are supposed to be the ones that keep the drugs out of the dorm rooms. It is illegal to have, like, that is one of the worst things, is to have drugs in your dorm room. Like, you get caught with that, you're in huge trouble. The RAs are supposed to monitor this because really no one else is going up to the dorms. No, no professor, no dean. I mean, they can if they want to, but no one's going to be. So the RAs, the students that are, I think they're sophomores, they're a year above us, year above the freshmen, are supposed to monitor this and, report it. Well, there is about half the RAs in the tower that I lived in the dorm building that I lived in. Half of them actually, not only allowed the kids, willingly allowed the kids to do drugs, but they actually told them to do it in their room, the RA's room, so that they wouldn't get in any trouble, so that the RA wouldn't get in trouble. And I mean, how crummy is that? The kids that are supposed to, that signed up to enforce the rules, are explicitly allowing them to be broken. Like, I don't get it, man, And again, it's one of those things where it's like, you want to go do that crazy stuff. Go do that crazy stuff in New York City. Do it out there. I don't want to have to see it. As a student of the school, I shouldn't have to watch kids do drugs. Like, in my, in the lounge on the floor. The bathroom always smelled like pot. Like, not cool, man. And it's just... There's also the smoking thing. Now, this is how you know when you go to a crummy school. This is New York City, and it's not so much the fault of this, it's just the location. Because there is nowhere that is, legally like 50 feet from the building or however far you're supposed to be, the kids smoke literally right outside the front door of the school. You cannot walk in the front door of the school without smelling the combined smoke of about 20 kids at any given time. If you can't walk in the front door of your school without having to breathe in toxic fumes, bad sign. Really bad sign. And even the side door, basically they used to allow the courtyard, they used to allow the kids to smoke in there. But, they banned it because screw the kids that smoke, really. But then the kids started smoking, again, right outside the front door of the school. You can avoid the atrium of the school, but you can't avoid the front and side entrances of the school. So, big puffs of smoke. So that's, and that's New York City living. I understand it, you're going to smell some smoke sometimes, but every time you walk in and out, it's just right there, it's bad. It is really bad, and the amount of kids that smoke is really surprising. That's pretty bad. But the absolute worst example of drug use, my second roommate. And we'll get to roommates next time, but let me just, tease it a little bit. My second roommate sold Adderall in my room, in front of my face, on a routine basis. And you're thinking, well, this is the one case, and by this kid, he has, ADD or whatever, ADHD, whatever you need to get. He actually has it, but he goes to several doctors, and I know this because he's explained this to his friends right in front of me. I'm sitting there, right there. And he sells these drugs right there, and he sells it in the doorway sometimes, too, right in the hallway of the school. But what he does is he goes to multiple doctors, gets a bunch of bottles of Adderall, and sells them for money, and right in front of me. And that is illegal on several accounts. It's not illegal to have ADHD medicine, but it's illegal to sell it to kids. It's illegal to scam doctors. It's illegal to have more amount of it than you need, non-prescription, or too many prescriptions. And that was right in front of my face, and that's why I ended up having to move my room yet again. And I told the school about this. I explicitly told my RA and the housing department. They didn't do anything. Nothing was done. Their thing was, oh, you should move out. You should move your room. Your roommate is selling, doing illegal business in your room. Okay, how about you move out of the room? This is your problem. You have to move all of your junk. You have to deal with having another new roommate. You have to deal with all this stuff because your roommate does this. The school's policies are whack. General rule of thumb, whatever the school's policies are on how harsh they are on drugs and alcohol and stuff like that, whatever they say they are on the website or at meetings or whatever when you go to see a school, they're about 20 to 30, probably 20 to 50% more lenient than they say they are. And again, their punishments might be what they say they are. I'm sure the kids would get kicked out. It's just the right people don't know. I guess my mom kept bugging me to go to the dean of students about it, but I don't know if, and I didn't have any proof. Actually, he left the bottles right on the desk. I could prove it, potentially, but I would be involving myself in that, and it, ugh. Alright, well, join me next time when I discuss roommates, all three of them. Goody. Goody, goody, goody. So with that, AJ out.